What's up, Gran Turismo fans? So this is episode 1 of interviews with coaching students. We're going to do a few of these with students of all different levels. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so I'm here with Rob, and just to give a little background on the race that was happening here, this was Thursday, so towards the end of the week, not the most stacked race at this point in the week. But Rob had seen me online and asked me if I was going to come and race. I'd seen his qualifying time, so I knew he was going to be quick this week. I loaded into a race, and Rob was right behind me. And I know how that feels because I felt that way. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. I felt that way when I'm racing against Digit. So, Rob, just say hi and tell everyone how you were feeling at the beginning of the race here.
Hi everyone. Hi Luke. Pleasure to be part of the video. How I was feeling. Always happy when I see you, of course. Like you said, I saw you online and I thought to myself, okay, I will jump in right away with Luke. And yeah, as we can see in the progress of the video here, it was an exciting race and it was an exciting combo for me that week. And yeah, we go from here.
Good, yeah. So I first coached you about a year ago, and I think you had been driving for about 6 months at that time. So just to give everyone a little bit of perspective here, obviously Rob was already an A+ student when I coached him, and I know a lot of you watching are going to be thinking, well, I'd love to be A+, so this isn't that relevant to me. Don't worry, we're going to be doing more of these videos with other students. But Rob gets the privilege of being episode 1 here simply because he's the first student I've coached who has basically matched my level in much the same way that I think Flash Dagger was the first person that Digit coached to get very close to his level, and then secondarily me. So yeah, this is episode 1, but we will be doing some others. So let's go into a few questions then, just to cover the coaching, what we did, and then what's happened with your development since. So give people an idea, anyone who hasn't done the coaching, give them an idea of what your first impressions of the coaching were.
Sure. When I started in 2024 with GT7, at the beginning you have a pretty steep learning curve, and you can get a lot of information from other streamers or ideas how to take a corner, how to brake. There are many videos out there, but still you reach a point where you also maybe lose confidence and say, okay, where can I improve? And sometimes you don't see a solution right in front of you and you think, okay, I will not improve because there's no way I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, and that was my motivation to get professional help, if you want to say so.
Sure.
And of course I saw Digit's stream and also his website and his courses, and I thought, let's give it a try. And my first impression was pretty good because you have a lot of knowledge, and sometimes even if you think you know the basics, it's good to hear them and yeah, see them again in front of you and get told by someone what you need to have to do, and that was a big help for me.
Yeah, and that's what I found when I coached with Digit myself. You have an idea of what you should be doing, but it's not till someone specifically tells you exactly what it is you're doing wrong that you suddenly realize where your losing time was. So that sort of leads us into the next question. Obviously, no one turns up to a coaching session if they know exactly what they're doing wrong and they know how to find the lap time. So how easy was it for you to understand where your time loss was? So just to give a little perspective on here for everyone listening, the coaching session that I do is split into a theoretical side and then a practical side. So if you go and take a course in to learn how to be a racing driver in real life and actually get a license, it's going to start in the classroom. It's not going to start on the track. So from that theoretical sort of academic side, forgetting for a moment actually trying to put it into practice, how easy was it for you by the end of the coaching session to actually understand where your time loss was and what it was that you were doing wrong?
For sure, I got a much better understanding where I have to gain some time and where I lost the time at the end. And like you say, the theoretical part is also very important. That you also said it to me that you need to put a certain amount of time into the analysis of the track, of the driving of the other of the replays from the other drivers. Um, and at the end of the session, it was kind of a, yeah, let's say a reminder that you need to be very disciplined and follow, for example, the breaking points. There's no room into or no room for interpretation when it comes to these things to find consistency. And then it's maybe at the beginning not so important to be the fastest, but to establish and build some kind of consistency that you're always doing the same things on every lap, and this is where you learn and gain time at the end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then obviously it's about a year ago that we did that coaching session now, but you've been working on those topics, those subjects ever since. So how long do you feel like it took you to actually see progress in what we were teaching you to try and do in the techniques, the methods, the lines, the braking, etc., the vision work? How long did it start to, not before you got to this current level, but how long would you say before you really started to notice improvement?
I mean, with everything, you have to establish, or yeah, you have to make it a habit. With like with everything in life, you want to be good at some stuff. You need to make it a habit, and then you need to really focus on repeating always the same things at some point. And for me, maybe it took half a year for sure, but even until today, I still have to remind myself, okay, this is not how you do it. This is not how Luke told you, for example. I often think about the session until now, and it's a process at the end of the day. And if you are focused, if you're ambitious to be really good at it, you can, I would say, half a year, couple of months, it will
Yeah.
take you to really live these habits, these practices.
Yeah, because there's a lot of very conscious overload. Like you're constantly telling yourself what to do while you're driving, and then eventually it reaches a point where it slowly starts to be less overload, less cerebral, and you just start doing it rather than overthinking it. But then even like say even at my level, trying to find more time still takes you back to that overload state. So the one thing I do want to touch on in terms of how long it took things to come together for you was that post coaching, a couple of months later, you actually tried VR for quite a long time. So tell us about that journey, and then tell us about the decision that you ultimately made with VR.
Sure. I always wanted to try VR, and I saw other streamers who do it. Like Obelix is pretty successful driving in
Yeah,
VR,
very fast in VR right
and
now.
right. And I tried it. I think from the overall feeling, how it's implemented, how it works great. It's a cool feeling. I can recommend in general to drive in VR if you have the possibility. But for me, I was lacking in consistency at the end of the day. It was for me much harder to build consistency in the braking and the acceleration. Then you have different cars with different interiors. So for some cars, it's easier to have a good overview. Some cars have a bad overview. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like in real life, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
if you drive in, let's say, on a one screen, it's much easier to follow your braking points. For example, when the curb or whatever it is reaches the end of your screen,
yeah,
you can establish a much better consistency, I would say. And
yeah.
that's why I said I tried it a couple of months, and then I really didn't do any progress. And at some point, I said to myself, okay, now I spent a lot of time and I will try again without VR. And immediately I improved my time.
Yeah, exactly. Just to clue in everyone that's watching there, from my perspective, Rob always had potential. I mean, he'd got to A plus himself within about 6 months without my help. So then this was about getting him to that higher level where you can start holding on to the aliens. And there was always potential, there was always talent there, but it did seem to coincide that when he switched to VR, it stalled out a little bit. And I didn't push him on the subject. I will let people use whatever view they want to use. But when you personally decided to give bumper cam a go, all of a sudden, literally within hours, you were actually setting personal best times. And that was a few months ago now. And then I think you got used to it even more and it came together. And that's when, to me, this sort of segues into our next question, was how you knew when it was coming together. So now we've moved on from that. When did you first start to see progress, to when you felt like, okay, this is actually starting to click now and I'm actually starting to show some real potential? So from my perspective, that happened when you ditched the VR. And I want to throw out to people, I'm not saying don't use VR. I want to cite again, Oblix is doing some amazing things with VR right now. He's really found some incredible pace. But yeah, tell us a little bit, speak to that. Like, when did you feel that this potential that the viewers are seeing here was coming together?
Um, I would say maybe around a year of driving. Um, I have to say that I spent approximately, I would say, 700 to 800 hours last year into GT7.
You were brand new to sim racing with GT7. There was no previous experience with other sims there, was there?
Right. I decided someday I want to. I mean, it was always kind of a goal to have a sim rig with a real wheel and everything. And yeah, I decided last year that I want to do it, build a rig and everything that comes with it. And before that, of course, I mean, like most of us probably, we played Need for Speed, and I also played other
Yeah, yeah,
Gran
same.
Turismo games, but on a gamepad for sure, and
Yeah.
not close to that level, or to say I have a goal to be a plus driver. So it was, yeah, you can say I was pretty new to it. I have to say that I had some, let's say, general racing experience from the outside, from watching Formula One, from always be involved in motorsport. I visited a lot of rally events. I also had motorsport part of my working life. I did an internship at a big manufacturer in Germany where I was part of the motorsport team.
So I just want to interject here. I had a moment coming out of the carousel there. For those who don't know, this is our second time trying to do this because I didn't hit record. But tell us about why you didn't choose to come past me there, and then we'll get back to your story.
I didn't want to be in front of you
Yeah.
because, like you touched the subject on your previous videos, that it's a lot of psychology going into
Yeah.
that game,
Yeah.
and it's a much better feeling to chase you than being chased,
It's
for
easier to
sure.
chase than be in front, yeah. And if anyone watched my video I did from this week at Nords, you saw that myself when I was chasing. Can't remember who it was. Very fast driver. And he spun, and all of a sudden I lost all my pace, and that's a psychological thing. So yeah. Yeah, carry on, please. You were telling us about your history prior to starting sim racing, your involvement and connection with motorsport, etc.
All right. So you have a certain understanding of how racing works, right?
Yeah.
How to brake, how to accelerate, how to take a corner, how to use the full track. But I didn't have any practice in sim racing. That was really my first touch point, and like for a lot of people, I started with GT7 because the entry is quite low. I mean, you don't have to spend that much time into settings in all kinds of way, and it's pretty user friendly at the end. And this is where I decided, okay, I will do that, and I want to become good at it. And now we're here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you said that you did somewhere around 700 to 800 hours in your first year with no previous sim racing experience, and that's a very important point as well, because people often look at my progression and think, well, how did you get to your level in less than 2 years? I think it's about a year and 8 months in total to start getting top 100 times. I, I do need to throw out there's people that have done it quicker than that. There definitely is. But seat time is very important because you can know what you need to work on. And there is a difference between productive, efficient practice versus inefficient practice. And I think that's the difference with pre-coaching versus post-coaching, is that for you, your practice became much more focused, much more targeted. And at that point, it's worth spending a few hours in time trial. It's worth spending a couple of days racing back to back to back. So yeah, that I actually did more time than Rob. Like Rob did 700 to 800 hours, you said, in your first year. So just for everyone listening, I think I did about 1,000 hours in my first year. So seat time is very important, but there's nothing wrong with that, providing there's some focus to the seat time and some kind of structure to the seat time, rather than just grinding, and of course racing as much as possible. So all right, so tell us a little bit about the race then. Tell us a little bit about how you were feeling before the race, at the start of the race, for the first lap, and then we'll sort of get on to the last lap, hopefully, as the race starts to finish.
Sure. I mean, during the video, you can see that at the beginning, I would say the first 2 laps, I was much more behind you than I wanted to be. And of course, you have people in front of you, and you have, of course, the guys behind you. And then you have to, at least for me, I have to sort out the situation, right? Is the guy in front of me, how quick is he? The guy in the back, is he like following? Is he trying to overtake in the first corner? And that you have to figure out. And basically, I built confidence through the laps. And as you can see here in the last lap, I was gaining, or at least I was staying behind you, much closer than in the first 2 laps. And yeah, I just gained confidence. I adapted also my racing line. Of course, I saw how you race. And for sure, this combo was quite difficult, because one mistake and you are out. You're touching a little bit too much the curb. And I saw that you took care of not touching the curb where it's not necessary, for example. And I tried to adapt that and follow you as good as I can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from my perspective, and anyone who watched my video I did from this week will know that this isn't my strongest combination. But by the time we arrived at Thursday and I'd been racing it a bit more, I was really beginning to love it. Really beginning to love it, and really beginning to actually really looking forward to the next Nordschleife race now, actually. Even if it's not Group 1, but I actually think Group 1 really works here. But from my perspective, what I noticed, and I'm curious to get your thoughts from a psychological point of view on lap 1 here. From my perspective, what I noticed is that when we started and we were still on the GP track, I think I pulled almost a second by the time we got onto the Nordschleife on lap 1. And there was a couple of mistakes there from you, and there was a moment where I thought, is he going to hang on to me? Is he going to keep with me? Because again, just giving everyone perspective here, we'd been in the same races before. You're an A+ driver, but we'd never really raced each other before. We were always separated, like I was in the top 5 and you were nearer the back of the pack or something like that. So you were in the same races, you were up at that level. But this is the first race where we were actually racing together, and you had the opportunity and the pace to actually hold on to me. And again, just to put that in perspective for everyone, I feel exactly the same way when I race Digit. So nothing makes me more nervous than Digit being either right in front of me or right behind me when he's streaming. And exactly the same as you said, I'd rather have Digit right in front of me and chase him than have him right behind me. So tell us a little bit about how you felt. Was there a moment on lap 1 where you thought, is Luke going to get away? How did that settle down? How did you catch back up? And then, yeah, I definitely noticed some of your lines changing as you were following me. I noticed in laps 2 and 3, you adapted some of your lines closer to what I was doing.
During the week or until this race, I did a couple of races, so I was, I would say, quite confident in general. But of course, like you said, if you see someone in the in the lobby, and especially someone you had a coaching session with, you don't want to disappoint,
It
right?
instantly makes you nervous for no reason whatsoever.
Right. But yeah, it came back really quickly. I mean, sometimes if the combo is right, if your week is right, especially when it comes to all the other aspects of life, right? If you're in a good mindset, then you can focus much better. I got locked in, and I was pretty sure of course, with the slipstream here as well, that I can catch you. And I was just interested if I can even overtake you. And yeah, like we saw a couple of minutes before, there was a possibility, but at that point I choose to stay behind you and do it on the last straight. That was the the idea.
And that's not, and that is also the correct decision, definitely. You always want to wait to the straight here if you've got the same pace as someone. It's interesting. I just want to touch on what you said there. You felt locked in, and I completely agree. There was a moment by sort of towards the end of lap one, beginning of lap two, where I thought, I'm not going to break you. I'm not going to break you. There's no way. You're in the zone. You're in that flow state. You're locked in, and with that comes a level of confidence, does it? Do you want to speak to that? You sort of get into that flow state, and you're not really thinking so much, you're just doing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Right. I mean, that's, I think, always the goal, right? To find that, to get into the tunnel, so to speak,
Yeah,
and be really focused, and then things come automatically without overthinking stuff. And this is always the goal. And for me, I saw in previous videos of yours that you are planning to do this, or you planning to talk about the subject of, let's say, mental health and the state of mind you need to be also to be fast. And I mean, we are both, I would say, both drivers who are not streaming all day and having all that time. So it's then we have a lot of dependencies during during the week,
yeah,
and to find the right mindset at the evening is quite important. And that's it. You try to lock in, and sometimes it's easier, and it gives you for sure confidence if you have someone in front of you who can, or behind you, you can trust, you have fun with, you have maybe a personal relationship in some kind of
yeah.
way, and then you gain a lot of confidence
Definitely
and
can take the pressure off
reach
it.
the
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
Right.
And when you get locked in like that, it gives you so much confidence for future races because you remember how it felt. So just to round this off, this wasn't the most competitive day, so I actually backed off on the line to give Rob the win, and then he backed off because I think you were like, no, you take the win. So we actually lost a good, I estimate we lost a good 3 to 4 seconds there across the line. And there's that one mistake in the carousel without that. But even without that, I think we were on for a 24-25 here, which, looking at the lap times that people I generally consider to be faster than me had done this, or finishing time, sorry, that people had done this week, I think, yeah, low 20s was actually pretty fast. So yeah, I mean, from my perspective, Rob, there's really nothing more I can teach you. Just to quote what Digit said about me at one point, he said, you're uncoachable. And that's a compliment. What that means now is you know everything, you do everything. The top guys aren't doing anything different to what we're doing, they're just doing it a little bit better than what we're doing. And that's really where I think telemetry and just seat time comes in, because it will just come to you more and more. So, Rob, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being episode one. I look forward to racing you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the top 100 consistently.
Thank you for having me, Luke, and keep up the good work.
So, thanks for watching, guys. We'll do some more of these in the future. Get out of here and go and race.